everybody, welcome back. This is episode 3 of Unbashful. As always, I'm your host, Nicholas Doucette, and this is going to be the first episode that is going to be on YouTube. I know in the previous episodes I've promised that they were going to be on YouTube, but I had a little bit of complications in regarding to the equipment and whatnot, so now I got it. It's all ready to go, and here we are. This episode 3 will be the first episode that you guys can watch on YouTube and so on. So let's get started. Let's not waste any more time. I think we're in for a great episode here for episode 3, and this is going to be more of sort of a personal growth episode. It's going to be a lot about my trials and tribulations and what I've learned as a young man growing up, and some things that I've learned through mistakes and, like I said, different choices I've made in my life. And I feel like a lot of these stories and a lot of these, if you will, topics that I'm going to be talking about, I think will resonate with a lot of people who are probably in similar circumstances as I once was and as I currently am. So let's get started here. Topic number 1, we have stop blaming other people. Now, I want to let that sink in for a second. Stop blaming other people. What do I mean by that? A lot of us who are in difficult situations, a lot of us tend to blame other people for that certain situation that we've found ourselves in, or that difficult circumstance that we found ourselves in. Maybe we just got laid off, or maybe your ex just broke up with you, or maybe one of your best friends stopped talking to you. There's all kinds of different problems. Maybe money isn't, you're not financially stable right now. Maybe, you're, whatever, right? Whatever kind of difficult situation you're in. I see a lot of people on social media, and I myself was a victim of this too. I used to do this all the time, and that's why through my experiences and through self-awareness, I came to the realization that I gotta stop blaming other people for where I'm at in life and for what I'm doing wrong. And that is, to me, that has a lot to do with what we're gonna talk about, is just being self-aware. Once you're self-aware and you're aware of what you can do differently in your life, that is extremely powerful, and that's a stepping stone to where you want to change your life and to where you want to go in your life in terms of success and other things like that. So stop blaming other people. I used to do this a lot, right? I used to wonder, I see a lot of people, being very successful, and, they're doing all these crazy things, and I started putting limitations on myself. I started saying, like, oh, I can't do it because of this person, X, Y, and Z. Right, or I can't do it. I was always making excuses, and a lot of that was on the road to this podcast. If you watch my intro episode, I discussed how this podcast was something I was really kind of figuring out and asking myself if I can do this for the past year. And a lot of those conversations I had with myself, a lot of the times I was discouraging myself because I kept saying, oh, this person and this person is good. They're going to make fun of me and so on. And that all just comes back to, you cannot give a fuck about what other people think about you if you want to pursue something. People are going to make fun of you. People are going to talk shit about you. People are going to say it's cringy and whatnot. You have to be laser focused on your craft. You cannot worry about the outside noise, and you cannot let that deter you from your journey and from your goal. And but a lot of people, like I said, going back to the topic here, a lot of people who want to change their life feel like they can't because of maybe their family, maybe their, relationship status, whatever, friend group, whatever, right? A lot of people want to blame other people when in reality, the only person that's going to change their life is them. It's them. Their mom's not going to help them. Their dad's not going to help them. Obviously, it's good to have people around you to motivate you, but at the end of the day, if you want to see change in your life, nobody is going to do that for you except for you, right? And that's something that I've learned, because like I was saying, I used to blame everybody and everyone for me being lazy, for me being just not focus, and for me not having any drive, I used to blame other people for that. And when in reality, you have to look at yourself in the mirror and you say, you better man up, motherfucker. You better get your shit together. And that's all what it comes down to. So, okay, so moving on from stop blaming other people, we got topic number 2, and that's going to be you can either let failures defeat you or use them as an opportunity to build. Now, a lot of successful people that I pay attention to, and I'm sure a lot of people have probably seen this and heard things like this. If you want to be successful, you cannot be afraid of failure. If you want to be successful, you almost have to fail, right? And a lot of people let that fear of failing deter them from starting whatever it is they want to do, whether it's what I'm doing right now, a podcast, or whether you want to start making music, or whether you want to start working in the film industry, kind of like what I want to do as well, or maybe you want to, be a professional athlete. Like, a lot of people will let that fear of failing hold them back, and I feel like that's so unfortunate, because there's a lot of people out there that have untapped potential, and they just don't know it because they're putting these limitations on themselves. So, getting back to the point here, when people do fail, when people have reached that point where they've got laid off, they've got fired, they've got rejected by either a girl or a guy or a different opportunity in life, a lot of people will let those failures defeat them. It'll bring their self-consciousness down. Excuse me. They'll feel weak. They'll feel like they're beneath other people. You should not let failure make you feel like that. If anything, failure, as I said in the topic here, you should use that as an opportunity to build. Because when you fail, even when you win, there's always something you can learn from that, especially from failing. So if let's say you didn't get that promotion at work, you're self-aware, you look at yourself, okay, what could I have done different in this situation to inevitably change the outcome and possibly receive that promotion? There's a lot of different ways you can look at failure. I would never look at it as this defeating, agonizing, the ground is falling beneath me sort of feeling. I would look at it as an opportunity to build yourself to inevitably succeed in what you were trying to accomplish in the first place. So that's it for that topic. Topic number 3. Now, I'm going to use a little movie term here to describe this topic. It's called character development begins with being honest with yourself. Right? Now, what do I mean by character development? I'm referring to you as a person. I'm referring to your development as a person. Your development going from being an adolescent to being, a young adult, to being a full-grown adult who pays taxes and so on and has a mortgage and whatever, right? So your development as a person, your growth, right? So in all of that character development, it begins with being honest with yourself. And this topic kind of goes back to topic number 1, but being honest with yourself and being self-aware is absolutely one of the most powerful things. It's one of the most powerful conversations that you can have with yourself. I was listening to Joe Rogan's podcast, and he had David Goggins on. For those of you who don't know, David Goggins is an ex-Navy SEAL. He's a motivational speaker. He's one of my personal people that I look up to and I influence. I absolutely love David Goggins. He said in an interview, he said the most important conversation you will have is with yourself, and that hit me. Because I've had many great conversations with people. I've had many important conversations. But like I said, at the end of the day, if you want to see change, if you want to change your situation in life, it's going to come with you. You're not going to be competing against other people. It's going to start with you, and it's going to end with you. So you need to have a conversation with yourself, and you need to be honest with yourself. What am I doing that's holding me back? Am I lazy? Do I have bad habits? Am I participating in self-destructive behavior? Right? These are important conversations. Is my sleep schedule fucked up? These are important conversations you need to have with yourself if you want to change your life, if you want to see a difference tomorrow, right? So you have to be honest with yourself. If you feel like you also have to ask yourself, look, am I taking initiative, right? Am I taking action? Do I feel like I'm working as hard as I potentially can? Am I half-assing what I'm doing right now? These are conversations that you need to have with yourself. So that is topic number 3. Moving on, we have topic number 4. You'll never reach, this one is very important to me, you'll never reach your potential trying to live somebody else's life. Now, what do I mean by that? Social media has a lot to do with this. Social media manipulation in particular. I've talked about this many times here on the podcast, but a lot of people are being manipulated by social media, and they see these big influencers. I'm not going to throw out any names, but I'm sure everybody can probably think of many off the top of their head. But everybody has people that they love to watch, and it's okay to watch these content creators and these YouTubers. But a lot of people get too sucked in, and they almost start to try and live their life right through their eyes, right? They try and act like them and whatnot. They're like I said, they're living somebody else's life, right? You have to live your own life. You have to pave your own path. But you're never going to do that if you're trying to be somebody that you aren't. If you're trying to live somebody else's life, you're never gonna tap into your potential. You're never gonna reach your potential if you're always just trying to walk out your front door and have this like fake persona that you want everybody that you don't even care about, or that doesn't even care about you. You want all these people you don't give a single fuck about to see this identity that you've created. And by doing that, you're just going to be halting yourself from ever really being successful with your own life at the end of the day. So that is it for that topic. We are going to move on here. Right here. So we got topic number 5. This is compete with yourself, not others. Okay? Everyone in life, I don't care who you are, everyone in life experiences success at different points in their lives. There's not one size fits all scheme, right? And this is something you need to remind yourself. And I've had to remind myself this many times. I've found myself, lying in my bed just, thinking like, what the fuck am I doing? I haven't done shit in life. I see all these people, like I said, this is part of the reason, social media. I see all these people, successful, lots of money, lots of cars, any relationship that they want, whatever. They're living the perfect life. I say that in quotations. And something you need to remind yourself is your time will come. Your time may be later than others, or it may be before others, right? But your time will come. And as long as you just keep the main thing, and you stick to your craft, and you focus on yourself and what you are trying to pursue, everything else will take care of itself. But the worst thing that you can do is compare yourself to others, because everybody experiences success at different facets and different stages of their life. There's a lot of people that haven't become, successful or reached their goals till they're like middle age or like in their 50s or something like that. There's a lot of people like that. And obviously there are some people that, fortunately they experience success very early in life. No matter what, your time will come, and that's something you need to be able to remind yourself. You can't, comparing yourself to somebody else is pointless, because everybody grows up with different people around them. They grow up in different parts of the world. So like all of that has something to do with it. So you can't be sitting here saying, oh, why does he have a Lamborghini at age 25 and I don't? You know what I mean? You can't do that. So the one thing that you can do immediately, instead of comparing yourself to other people, is reflect on your life. Reflect on your trials and tribulations, what you've accomplished, what you failed at, what you're currently trying to improve right now, and use that as a sort of stepping stone to try and get better tomorrow, right? Use the next day as an opportunity to correct and change the mistakes that you made today, right? And each day, try and improve on something. Don't set these massive goals like tomorrow I'm gonna, make $1 million or whatever. Like, you know what I mean? Just be mindful and just reflect on your life. Reflect on past experiences that you can use to improve moving forward. So, all right, so next we have be patient with yourself. This kind of ties in. I should have honestly included this with topic number 5, with compete with yourself, not others. Be patient with yourself is very important, and it's easier said than done for a lot of people, because everybody wants to be successful. I want to be successful. You know, everybody wants to be successful, but like I said, it comes at a different time for everybody. Like I said, there is no one size fits all. Everybody will do something in their life that will create change and success at a different time than somebody else, right? That's why, like, it's very easy for us to like compare ourselves to what our friends are doing, and you know what Jimmy, you know, 2 doors down is doing, whatever. Like, the main thing you need to focus on is just you. And like I said, having conversations with yourself. And when I say conversation, I don't literally mean like sit in front of a fucking mirror and like, you know, have one-on-one dialogue with yourself like you're, you know, whatever, right? I mean just in terms of think and practice mindfulness and being self-aware and just asking yourself questions of like, you know, like I said, like, what can I do now to improve my life in the future? So being patient with yourself is key. People will experience success earlier in their life, while some people will experience success later in their life. A prime example I like to use is Stephen A. Smith. Now over the years, I've kind of sort of distanced myself from Stephen A.'s content, but I still do have respect for him and admire him, because he is very successful in the media realm, the journalist realm of sports, sport media to be more specific. And he was a beat writer, you know, working for free, you know, volunteering at places, and he really didn't become successful till, you know, close to his like 40s, if I'm not mistaken, or if not in his 40s or later. So, you know, you just got to be disciplined, and you have to expect that there's going to be some obstacles along the way. It's never going to be an easy path, and you have to just tell yourself and prepare yourself that I am going to probably fail at some point, but through failure and through, you know, rejection and through all these other, you know, obstacles will eventually come opportunity and opportunities to be successful. So, and eventually reaching that mountaintop that you desire so much. So, number 7. This is another very important one. Number 7 is be curious. Don't let your ego convince you that you know everything. Now, this is extremely important, because a lot of people have this entitled mentality that they know everything. And when somebody is trying to tell them something that they don't know, they're not willing to accept that, like, they're teaching me something. Why are they teaching me something? I already know everything. You know, I'm 20 years old. I've already lived an entire life. This was my mindset, personally. This is how I used to be. If somebody tried to educate me on something, especially if it's somebody young, right? Because if it's somebody young and you're in this mindset that I was, it's almost like you look at it as like a threat, or as if they're trying to use it as a form of like intimidation, like I'm better than you. Instead, look at it as an opportunity to continue to learn, right? You cannot let your ego get you in the way of trying to learn new things. That's why I say be curious. Always try and learn, right? Always try and learn new things, and don't let that ego stop you and make you feel like you're the smartest fucking person on the face of the earth, right? Because you're not, right? And really, like, there's no one smartest person in the world. Even the smartest people in the world will probably tell you that they're always still trying to learn new things, right? There's never like a finish line in terms of like, I read X, Y, and Z book, I know everything, right? No, it doesn't work like that. Through experiences, through meeting new people, and obviously reading and doing all kinds of things like that, you're always going to be able to learn new things, which will then open more doors and opportunities for you in life. But if you just tell yourself, like, I know everything, I'm better than everybody, you know, nobody can ever tell me otherwise, I know this is how I feel, you're never ever going to not only learn new things, but you'll probably stop yourself from, you know, meeting new people that will present opportunities for you to potentially be successful. So That's very important. And like I said, I used to do this all the time. You know, if I talked about something and I was wrong, even though I knew that I was wrong, I was too self-conscious and too headstrong to be able to recognize, like if somebody corrected me, I would be too headstrong and too, you know, full of myself to be able to admit, like, oh, okay, I was wrong. So what's the correct answer? Okay, cool, awesome. Then I learned otherwise, and now I'm a smarter person, a more knowledgeable person because of it, right? So that is it for that. And now we have topic number 8. Comfortability is dangerous. Now, what do I mean by comfortability? Okay. I used to be very comfortable. I was comfortable with doing the same thing every weekend. I was comfortable with, you know, never trying to improve my life. I was comfortable with just looking forward to the weekend to come so I don't have to work and I don't have school and I get to sit around and play video games. I was comfortable with that. I was at peace with that is going to be my life for the immediate future. I was never trying to make any changes, you know, take action, and I was always just looking forward to just like I said, either playing video games on the weekend or just partying and hanging out with friends and blowing the little money that I had. Right? That was my mindset. And there's a lot of people that are like that, and there's probably some people right now that are listening to this that are probably in that. Okay, we are back. Sorry about that. The camera had a little bit of technical difficulties, but let's just continue on here. Now, like I was saying, there's a lot of people that are probably listening to this that are currently going through that right now. And I see a lot of people my age, and I'm not trying to be disrespectful to them because, like I said, I was in that position. I see a lot of people where their life right now consists of, you know, I'm just looking forward to Friday and Saturday when I could just party. And that's my life. Being in my buddy's basement just drinking beers all weekend and you know, feeling depressed and just hungover the next day. That is a lot of people's lives that I see right now. Their lives and their only things that they're excited for are just, you know, partying and going out drinking on the weekend, right? I feel like they're not trying to make any change with their life. They're not trying to further themselves and develop new skills and learn new things. However, I want to say, with all this, it's okay to still go to some parties. It's okay to still hang out with some friends, right? But as long as like that's not your life and that's not the only sort of thing that you have to look forward to every week, if you're still trying to make changes every single day and every single week to improve your life and to try and reach success and heights that you have imagined, then it's okay to still hang out and go party with your friends and go out for a dinner or whatever. Because at the back of your mind, like, you are trying to make change in your life and just doing your normal whatever from Monday to Friday and not trying to make any change and then just going out with your buddies and getting shit-faced, like, that's not going to do anything for you. And I was kind of one of those people. So that's something that I learned, and that just ties into comfortability. A lot of people are comfortable living like that. A lot of people have come to peace with themselves saying, like, you know, this is my life, whatever, I'm just gonna, you know, I'm just gonna enjoy it, and I'm just gonna, you know, not really try and tap into my potential and try and make change, and I'm just gonna, you know, every weekend I'm just gonna spend my $40 or whatever and just get completely fucked up and shit-faced with the boys or with the girls and just that's it. You know what I mean? And that's so sad to see because everybody has potential to be great. I truly believe that, right? I don't care what your circumstances. I don't care if, like, you know, your family is holding you back. Like, everybody has, not to sound corny, but everybody has greatness, deep potential in them. And I feel like a lot of people just aren't willing to tap into that, and it's sad to see sometimes. Alrighty, so up next we got be in the present. Now this is very important, and so let me just give you a little bit of history on myself when it relates to being in the present. I'm a very deep thinker, right? I think one of the biggest problems I have, and I still struggle with this to this day, and a lot of people can probably relate, is like going to sleep is one of the most, not, sorry, being a little bit exaggerative here, but it's very difficult sometimes because I find myself just thinking, and my mind just eventually just takes control, and I just start like, I just go off on like a spiral in my mind. And what I mean by that is like I just lie in bed and I'm just thinking about like life and asking myself these deep questions. And it's important to do that, as I've been talking about, but like doing that when you're trying to go to sleep is detrimental because it's just going to keep you up all night. So that is something I struggle with. I am trying to take little steps to better that. Sometimes I'll have like a melatonin sometimes to put me to sleep. And I think part of that also also has to do with some anxiety. I personally do struggle with some anxiety here and there. I get anxious about some things, but I am trying to take steps to better that, and that comes with sleep schedule. And the past year, I've had a pretty fucked up sleep schedule, to say the least. I'll work on my stuff. I'll work on school, and I'll literally be up till like 4 a.m. and then I won't wake up, or go to bed at 4 a.m. and then I won't wake up till like 2 in the afternoon. And then what's wrong with that is obviously like those aren't great hours of sleep. Actually, sometimes I won't even wake up at 2. I'll sometimes wake up at like 9, and that's like that's like a 5-hour sleep. That's not enough. For me, ideally, I think I probably need about, I'd say, 8 to 9 hours to fully feel like healthy and good, like when I wake up. And what's wrong with those, with that sleep schedule that I used to have was like I was waking up so either I was waking up early, but I had only gone to bed 4 hours ago, or I was waking up super late, and mathematically I was getting like my 7 hours, but then the day was already like halfway gone. And then if I wanted to do anything, like it just, I wasn't motivated because like I could already, almost see like the sun going down, and I see everybody out and about, doing the things, and like I'm just starting my day at that point. So like from a mental standpoint, it just kind of brings you and wears you down a little bit. Whereas like now I've been trying to go to bed a lot earlier and like wake up around like, 6 to 7 a.m. And what that's done for me is it gives me that whole morning to grind and to really work on things like the podcast and other things I have going on in the background in school as well. And when I'm, when it's all said and done, it's like, it's like 1 o'clock, it's like noon, you know what I mean? So then I have that whole day to really do whatever I want, right? If I want to go to the gym, or if I want to play basketball or whatever, I have that whole day to myself. Now I'm always checking emails, and I'm always, trying to improve and do other things for my different professions and stuff. But when you wake up early and you go to bed at a reasonable time, like probably like 9 or 10 p.m., you're going to be healthier, you're going to feel healthier, you're going to actually feel happy, and you're going to give yourself more time in the day to be able to do things, right? So that is something very important to me. And also food and diet has a lot to do with that. My diet has been horrendous. When the pandemic first started, I was going to my buddy's house pretty much every day because obviously everything was closed down. My job was shut down, as many others were, I assume, as well. And my diet was literally just fast food every night, just like, oversaturated food with just salt and sugar, and it was not good, and it did reflect on obviously my physical health, but also my mental health, right? You just don't feel good when you eat all that fucking garbage. And I was pretty much only eating things like, Popeyes and McDonald's and things like that. So that's pretty much all I was eating, was just that really shitty, unhealthy food. And after a while, I finally like woke the fuck up, and I realized like, okay, what the fuck am I doing? This is self-destructive behavior. I'm just eating the shitty food and blowing all my fucking money away. And that just wasn't good for me. And then I decided to take action, take initiative, and make some change with that. So, now getting back to being in the present, I kind of went off a little bit of a tangent here. It's good to look forward in the future, but if you do that too much, you almost find yourself living not only in your head, but almost living in the future. I know that probably doesn't make sense. You're not literally living in the future, but like you're thinking about it so much that you were forgetting about what's present in the task at hand right now, right? It's taking away from what you were trying to accomplish right now. So that way, if you don't accomplish what the task is at hand at the present moment, you're not going to be able to get to that future goal that you keep dreaming and thinking about. So, like I said, it's good to think about the future. It's good to try and plan ahead. Just be mindful, because you can't let that lose sight and let that take focus away from what you're trying to accomplish right now. So that is very, very important, because you can also overwhelm yourself, right? You can also overwhelm and discourage yourself if you're just thinking about, what's to come. Like I said, by doing that, you're going to develop so much anxiety thinking about the future that you're not even going to want to start in the present, because you've already discouraged yourself so much by thinking of how hard this goal is that you're trying to accomplish, that like, why even start at that point, right? So that's very important. And then, like I said, your attention needs to be focused on whatever it is that you're doing today, whatever the task is at hand. You need to be able to maximize that time and that energy that you have currently in the present, and use that to whatever it is that you're trying to do right now. So we are almost done here. This is going to be a lot more of a shorter episode compared to the two others. The two others were about an hour or so. This one is going to be significantly shorter. However, to conclude, because we are almost done here, I did mention on my social media that if you guys wanted to send in some questions, feel free, and I will answer them in this video. I didn't have time, because I do actually have to do some things, but I don't have time to get to many, but I'm going to get to two in particular right here. So we have, I'm not going to say his name, he's going to remain anonymous. He asked me my biggest fashion influences. So I got a list of them here. Like I said, for those of you who are new listeners and viewers, if you're watching and you see that I have paper here, it's not a script, it's just sort of an outline of the topics that I'm going to be talking about, just to keep me organized, so I can limit going on, just tangents, which I still do every now and then. At the end of the day, it's a podcast, it's long form content, shit like that's going to happen. But back to the question. He asked me my biggest fashion influences. So I got quite a few, and obviously, I'm sure for those of you who do listen, you know that I'm a big cinema fan, and my main thing that I'm trying to pursue in life is I want to be an actor and I want to work in the film industry. So you're going to see a trend here. A lot of these fashion influences are from films. So let's start off with number one. I got Robert Pattinson and John David Washington's characters, Neil and the protagonist, from Tenet. I loved the way they dressed in that film. That has had a lot of influence on my style and the kind of attire that I wear, if you will. I love the way they dress in that movie. I don't even know, they should have won like an award or something. The outfits that they have the actors wearing in the film was just incredible. They had all the kind of different ranges and stuff like that. So big fan of that movie and big fan of the clothing. Next, I got Ryan Gosling's character from Drive. Like I said, loved his, if anybody's seen Drive with Ryan Gosling, it's a great film. It's about this guy who, very soft-spoken, stoic sort of character. He is a stunt driver, and he also works at an auto shop, and he's kind of caught in between this sort of deal that his boss of the auto shop, Bryan Cranston's character, is kind of caught in, and Bryan Cranston is sort of shoehorned Ryan Gosling's character into the mix of this mob business, and it's a really good action movie. I highly suggest you guys to watch it. I feel like it's criminally underrated. I feel like not enough people talk about Drive. So yeah, Ryan Gosling's character from Drive. I love the kind of clothes he was wearing in the film. So that has some influence on my style. Then we got, I'm sure this is a lot of people's fashion inspiration, is Russell Westbrook. For those of you who don't know, which I'm sure many of you do, Russell Westbrook is an NBA player. He currently plays for the Lakers, and he probably has the best fashion in the entire NBA. And I know that may be a bold statement, but I'm sticking by. I think there's a lot of guys in the NBA that dress very well, and I have a lot of respect for their fashion choices. But I feel like Russ is constantly trying new things to pave to trailblaze different fashion ideas that a lot of people will take influence from, as myself, as I have done. And I feel like he's constantly setting new trends. That's the biggest thing when it comes to fashion, I feel like, is trying to set a new trend. Is trying to, instead of trying to, you know, copy and paste what people have done and just like, I really like that, you know, Florence pattern shirt that guy has. I'm going to go buy that exact shirt from that exact website. Instead of doing that, I feel like try and wear something different and try and wear something unique, and then people can take inspiration from you. So we got Russell Westbrook, and arguably, I think these last two fashion inspiration choices are probably the two biggest for me. I got Leonardo DiCaprio from Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, and I love his fashion. I also love, I think the movie's set in like the 60s. I love, like, my three favorite decades, like, okay, sorry, not to go off too much off topic here, but if I could pick 3 decades that I could go back to and live in, it would probably be the 20s, the 30s, the 60s. By the way, if you're watching this, my cat decided to show up. Fun fact about my cat, his name is actually Kitty, which is funny. So, just thought I'd throw that in, kind of random. He's gonna hang out with me here, but anyway, so the what was I talking about? Oh yeah, sorry. The decades that I would want to time travel to, if it was possible, would be the 30s, the 60s, and the 80s. But I love the style specifically in the 60s and 80s. Now it was like a little bit different, obviously, but I think it definitely had a lot of similarities. So I was a huge fan of that film, Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, and how it kind of used that aesthetic of the 60s with all, you know, from everything from the clothing and the street lights and all kinds of things. I'm pretty sure they actually literally used like not all of, but like a lot of downtown LA. They like recreated it with all the different signs and things that you'd see from that time period. But specifically Leonardo DiCaprio, I love the way he dressed. I love the opening scene of the film when him and Brad Pitt, and they walk, Cliff Booth was his character, was Brad Pitt's character's name, and Rick Dalton was Leonardo DiCaprio's character's name, and they walk into the bar to go see Al Pacino, and like Leo's got that like brown leather jacket. I love the style that he has in the movie. I think it's really great, and I take inspiration from it. So last but certainly not least, we have Robert De Niro's character from Casino. I was a huge fan of Casino. If anybody's seen Casino, it's one of the many, you know, legendary Martin Scorsese films. I was a huge fan of Casino, and more specifically, I love the clothing that Robert De Niro's character was trying, all the different suits and stuff like that. I personally love that, and if I could ever afford them, I definitely would take inspiration from him when I inevitably do eventually buy, you know, suits for whatever occasion. But I love Robert De Niro's outfits that he has in the movie. So that is my fashion inspirations. I'm sure I could probably think of more, but you know, going through this list off the top of my head, those are the ones that personally came to my mind a lot. Next, we have a friend of mine, James Cordier. He asked 2 questions. One of them is a 2-part question. This is going to be about basketball, a little bit different from what we've been talking about this episode, but fuck it, let's go. So, my good friend James Cordier, who I went to high school with, shout out to him. I think he's also pursuing film. Very talented guy, extreme hard worker, and yeah, man, if you're listening to this, keep on doing what you're doing, man. I'm really excited to see what you got in store. But anyways, he asked me favorite era of basketball, and on top of that, favorite player from each era. And then in brackets, he put 70s, 80s, and so on. So, how's it going, Kitty? Alright. So, let me see here. I have a list. Favorite era of basketball. Okay, yeah. So, to answer the first part of this question, my favorite era of basketball would be the 2010s, more specifically because I was born in 2000, so I kind of grew up in the 2010s. Obviously, like, I didn't grow up in the 80s and the 90s. I wouldn't look this young, so that is my favorite era of basketball, was the 2010s, the most recent era in the decade of basketball. So in the 70s, I got Kareem Abdul-Jabbar to kick this off. Now, for a lot of these, for each player I'm going to name from each era, from each decade, the 80s, the 90s, the early 2000s, the 2010s, I'm not going to go through their entire like accolades, like, you know, how many All-Star appearances they had and so on. I'm just going to go through like the main sort of, you know, accolades that most people will probably know. So anyways, in the 70s, I got Kareem Abdul-Jabbar. A lot of people could say you could even maybe throw him in the 80s as well, but personally I feel like he, actually, it's not even like I feel, he did accomplish the most of his career in terms of like MVPs and so on in the 70s. So in the 70s, he got 5 regular season MVPs, and then obviously he won a championship with Oscar Robertson, who before Russell Westbrook was the king of triple doubles, and he won a championship with him, which was Milwaukee's last championship before the most recent one with Giannis. He won his first championship with Milwaukee, and he won a Finals MVP. So in the 80s, I got Magic, 5-time champ, 3-time Finals MVP, and 2 regular season MVPs. Everybody knows Magic Johnson, one of the most beloved players in Laker history and in the entire league. In the 90s, I'd be committing a crime if I didn't say MJ. So obviously everybody knows Michael Jordan, 6 rings, 6 Finals MVPs, 4 regular season MVPs. His 5th one was in the 80s. So we got MJ. Then in the early 2000s, this one was tough. Because I'm just gonna say it was Shaq. Shaq is my player of the 2000s. A lot of people are gonna disagree, but that's just how I feel. I know a lot of people are gonna say Kobe. A lot of people are probably gonna say Tim Duncan. But personally, I'm gonna go with Shaq. He was just so fucking dominant. Nobody could stop him. Right? Like nobody could stop him. Shaq had 4-time champ, 3 with the Lakers, 1 with Miami. The 3 championships he won with him and Kobe, which was the last ever three-peat, he won all 3 Finals MVPs, and then through that decade he won a regular season MVP. And then in the 2010s, I got LeBron. Now, for those of you who don't know, a lot of my personal close friends who will be listening to this obviously know this. LeBron is my favorite player of all time. I grew up watching him, and I'm sure he's many of your favorite players as well. And just to round out his resume here in the 2010s, he's a 3-time champ, 3-time Finals MVP, 4-time league MVP, and then obviously, you know, the All-NBA and All-Star and so on. So those are my favorite players of each decade. Thank you, James Cordier, for submitting that question. Now we got one more from James. We got the Raptors ceiling with this current roster. Okay, so the Raptors ceiling. Now, obviously, they lost Kyle Lowry. They lost him to, where did he go? Miami, via free agency. They lost him to Miami. Or no, it was a sign and trade. And then the Raptors got Goran Dragic from Miami. So not bad, but obviously, you know, I think anybody would pick, you know, Kyle over Goran Dragic. At least I would, personally. I think their ceiling is, if they don't make any changes and they don't try and shop the trading block this season, which I'm sure they will. It's, you know, every team in their position is going to try and get better, obviously. But if they decide to make no changes at all, honestly, I think their ceiling is probably play-in tournament, maybe playoffs. It kind of, like I said, it depends. If they make that play-in tournament, how can they shape up with, you know, whatever team is going to be in there. And I think a team that will, if they do make the play-in, I think a team that you'll likely see them go against is a team like Charlotte. But we'll have to see. However, they can make some changes. I still feel like they didn't really improve their front court. And I think that's going to be a big problem because we saw last season they were one of the worst rebounding teams in the entire NBA. So they're going to definitely have to try and make some more changes there, get a nice big. I heard rumors they were maybe going to get Andre Drummond, but then that obviously didn't fall through. What a weird place he went to. He went to Philly, right? How is that going to work? That's just going to be another Al Horford situation And what I mean by that is, like, you obviously have Joel Embiid, who is the center, right? I mean, at least with Al Horford, you can play him as a stretch four because he can space the floor and shoot. But anybody that knows Andre Drummond, they know that the guy can't shoot for shit. No offense to him, but he's just a traditional glass cleaner, and I'm not shitting on that at all. If you watch my last episode, all about the NBA. But anyways, back to the Raptors. I think, like I said, I think their ceiling is probably, right now at the very least, I'm going to say the play-in tournament. I don't know, because a lot of teams that were in that sort of play-in tournament area with them last year, like Chicago, I know Chicago didn't make it, but I think they fell like 1 seed short of that 10. I think they were the 11th seed, if I'm not mistaken. A lot of those teams, like Chicago and like Indiana, they got better. Like, obviously Indiana, they got Karis LeVert now fully healthy. They got Rick Carlisle as their head coach. Then obviously Chicago had arguably the most successful offseason. They got DeMar DeRozan. Then they got I'm drawing a blank. Lonzo. They got Lonzo Ball. So they had a very successful offseason, and I definitely think they will make the playoffs. So it's going to be tough. We're going to have to see. But right now, I'm going to say play-in tournament. If they don't make any changes, no trades, no buyout market signings, anything like that, I'm going to have to go with play-in tournament. All right, guys. Well, it was a little bit of a shorter episode than normal. However, still, pretty decently long. I think that's going to wrap up episode 3 of Unbashful, and this episode will be on YouTube. So, yeah, I think we're going to end it there, and thank you all for listening and watching, and I will see you on episode 4.